I know that if you're watching this on YouTube, you will just have a black stream and you will have to keep clicking a few times until we've restarted. Apologies, we have no idea why our provider are having these problems. I think we'll try and persist even if we have to restart again. But perhaps not too many times because we're not sure how many times the audience can bear to restart, or indeed if anybody wants to watch a recorded show beset with sound problems. So let's get to some of the most important things before the gremlins come back. This morning was our Together Pop Up Poetry Club, which is a phone based group. We phone you and pay for the calls. People share poems, write poems, and then share those. And we read them out on the stream. It's particularly relevant this week because tomorrow night, for the first time, I think in 2 or 3 years, it's the return of the Together Pop Up Poetry Cafe. The Together Pop Up Poetry Cafe was a monthly evening event. We had subsidy from People's Health Trust and we ran it in about 2 years in total as a regular event at different community cafes. Once the funding ran out, we don't like to do things that people can only afford to do if they've got money. So we haven't been running the cafe, but digitally, of course, everybody is equal because you bring your own food and drink. So we've got together with the very wonderful and long known national organisation, Survivors Poetry. And Survivors Poetry have spread the word out, and we're going to be joined by some of their most active members. Now, just bear with me a second. I'm just going to put our pen and typist on mute. That's done that because we just had a little bit of keyboard noise coming through. But I'm really glad to say that our captioner has been able to rejoin us. Like I say, do bear with us because we may have to stop and restart the stream again. So, Julie, you're an active member of the Pop Up Poetry Club. What was this morning's theme?
Music. Music that had some sort of relevance to each one of us.
And would you like to start with your poem? And that will give the rest of us a chance to find the others.
Okie dokie. I can do that. This is because it has relevance to each one of us. This is actually based on lived experience, as they say. It's called The Night the Music Died. The walls echo with music, keeping me awake. Thud, thud, thud. The walls now shake. No sleep for me this dark night. The curtains closed. No light shines through as my head starts to bang with the sound breaking through. Crash, clang. What music is this that thuds with heavy beat? The windows shake, no other sound in the street, just the car alarm screaming in the discord, now becoming a chorus that roared in the otherwise silent night. Sleep does not come to drown out the thud of the drum, drum. As I struggle to hear a tune within the sound, no melody stirs. No words save the bay of the hound awoken complaining from the house up the road, and the beat still went on. Unstoppable it flowed from the house full of light, full of sound, as the laughter and shouting hit the ground. The lights in the windows come on one by one, nobody impressed at the shouty loud song, and I wait to hear the rowdy sounds die down. Some pause, some release from the noise now grown, filling my world as the neighbours awake. They too wait for something to break. But without warning, a chorus of song, loudly shouted all together as one. No tune yet disclosed, just noise filled the night. Then silence, blissful quiet, not a sound to blight the early hours. All paused, ready to hide, but quiet reigned, sleep beckoned, and the music died.
Yes, I have a kind of feeling that's probably written more about my neighbours than yours, although goodness knows yours also have quite a reputation. But Let's just say Bulgarians like loud music and leave my neighbourhood parties at that. So, very well, not quickly, but I shall take advantage of the fact that we haven't had a technical problem quite yet. And this is Dawn Barber, the music flowing. Music, music, how I love to listen. You show me a new path to my life as you flow over me like the waves of the sea, making me happy. Lisa Stansfield, Kylie, and much, much more. You bring me to a big door of light. Beat, beat, hurling my feet. Please keep flowing over me. Thank you, Dawn. That was great. And finally, from London, this is Taylor Henville, who's also one of our volunteers. And this is on music. On music, I don't know what to say. It's just there every day. It soothes and calms, it sizzles and sparks, rumbles and crackles, it punctures the dark, and plucks a tune on your heartstrings. Melodic, atmospheric, it's soul, electric. Thank you very much for that, Taylor. And I remember a volunteer who first came who didn't think she wrote poetry. So, as Robin would also say, please do, if you thinking about starting something creative, you might never have written a poem before or painted a picture, this is a really good time to start. You can find lots and lots of activities to join in with from home, and in fact we're going to put on a video, Gremlins permitting, to tell you more about that soon. But first, I believe we have some poems from Dwayne Bryan and Blake Jarrett Gibbons.
Yep. So welcome back from to the West Midlands. Do you want me to go first with my short one, or do you want the long?
No, I'll go first.
Okay.
This is a poem by Blake. Music is such a beautiful thing. It gives off vibes and emotions, those sounds so powerful that they release an inner energy. Many bands and artists take you on a different path, through different seas, flying through different skies and round different roller coasters of emotions. It's a story. Let the lyrics take you on a journey. Take these verses from different songs rolled together to make this poem. Ready for the journey? What can I do to make you love me? What can I do to make you care? What can I do to make you feel this? What can I do to get you there? There's only so much I can take, and I just got to let it go. And who knows, I might feel better. Yeah, if I don't try and I don't hope. When you feel my heat, look into my eyes. It's where my demons hide. It's where my demons hide. Don't get too close, it's dark inside. It's where my demons hide. It's where my demons hide. Hit the road where it forks down. Made good decisions. Start from the gutter. You know it. Big city lives. Fast lane living. But you never forgot your roots. Oh, oh. Back in town, daddy's advice. Baby, don't forget that you shine a light, shine a light, shine a light. Shine a light, shine a light. Everywhere you go. If I got locked away and we lost it all today, would you still love me the same? If I showed you my flaws, if I couldn't be strong, tell me, would you still love me the same? I would take the stars out of the sky for you, stop the rain from falling if you asked me to. I'd do anything for you, your wish is my command. I could even move the mountain when your hand is in my hand. Words cannot express how much you mean to me. There must be some other way to make you see. If it takes my heart and soul, you know I'd pay the price. Feeling my way through the darkness, guided by a beating heart, I can't tell where the journey will end, but I know where it will start. They tell me I'm too young to understand, they say I'm caught up in a dream. My life will pass me by if I don't open up my eyes. Well, that's fine by me. I saw the signs and I ignored it, rose-colored glasses all distorted. Set fire to my purpose and I let it burn. You got off on the hurting. When it wasn't yours, yeah, would always go into it blindly. I needed to lose you to find me. This dancing was killing me softly. I needed to hate you to love me. This journey is nearing its end. Fancy another journey. Go on, go on, go and put the music on.
Well, if you're still watching, Blake, thank you very much indeed for that. And what I heard in that was so much more beat and so much more music than Blake's more, well, not more usual poems, but that was, yeah, I could really feel the music in that. That was beautifully read. Thank you, Josh.
There are the list of songs that Blake used as well, if you would like those.
Well, let's, and I think as we're losing time with the gremlins, let's pop those up on the highlights and links page for people to explore. So, just finally, before we move on to Merlot and his nature watch, let's have Dwayne Bryan's poem.
Okay, so I'm reading this on behalf of Dwayne with my croaky voice. This is called Hit It Up Selector. Waving farewell before my end, the last farewell. Before I'm totally gone, my last farewell. My final song, the last moment in my life. Farewell, my people. Farewell, my life. Farewell, my children. Farewell, my wife. Going deeper and deeper under the sea, suffocating water in my mouth. Going deeper under the water until I certainly black out.
Well, I can't imagine you had a happy morning if that was Dwayne's response.
But we did. I mean, it. I just think it indicates the diversity of response, and I think Dwayne was happy. He wasn't a miserable boy this morning, but generally speaking, as usual, the group opens with "Hello, it's poetry, hooray!" which is a lovely way to start a club, I think.
But I think also it's important to acknowledge that, you know, however many days into this lockdown or however many months, if you've been shielding like so many of us have, you know, things are difficult and poetry is a really good way of expressing that. And maybe that's the way to feel a lot more cheerful is to write quite a miserable, dark poem. So another thing we do to cheer ourselves up on a Wednesday is we get one of the assistance dogs to take us for a virtual walk somewhere that we either couldn't access anyway or simply can't get out to because of COVID. We started this series, and no doubt we'll have some again, with a whole bunch of films of my backyard, which, because it's tiny, was not really possible to achieve social distancing from the partying neighbours. So Julie couldn't even go out into the backyard for a very long time. But Merlot, as the assistance dog of Steraplergia from Act Up Newham, is currently with them in Norfolk from where they were broadcasting last night for I Am Tony. So he's gone for quite a muddy walk yesterday and he's going to share that with us, which we believe is also known as slow TV. But there's nothing very slow about Merlot. And Julie's going to do some audio description.
So we start off with Merlot's head looking from left to right, going down a field with a tree on the left, lots of greenness. I think it's grass and weeds and vegetables. Oh my goodness, he's gone straight over to a ploughed field, which does look very muddy. Now he's turned around. He's gone. He's looking towards the path, but he's actually quite determinedly progressing down a very muddy ploughed field. He pauses from time to time and looks around, no doubt for his people waiting for them. Oh my goodness, and here is a big puddle. Somehow or other, he's managed to avoid that and is trotting at speed down the path, going past the field towards the gate. And he's paused, his little head is appearing as he's looking around, obviously deciding which is the muddiest way forward. He's a Labrador, so he doesn't seem to mind the wet and damp. Now, his people have come along, and he's trotting along beside them. He's clearly very, very happy. And every so often he shakes his head so that the camera goes all over the place. But as he's walking at speed, the camera does go, it's got a tendency to go from side to side. Currently, he's looking at the field again, the ploughed field, and on the left is some more wildflowers and a little fence, and he's coming up to a couple of small bare trees now, no leaves. His ears are flapping. and he's looking back towards his people who are actually quite a long way away, and he's galloping. He's at speed, and here he comes, and there they are. And whoosh, he's turned around and he's off again. Now, this is a dog with a purpose today. He's definitely determined to get as much out of his walk as he can, even if it's muddy, even if there's big puddles. And he really is moving at speed, as Judy described earlier on. He's coming up to the tree, the bare leaf tree, and he's passing that. He's looking again. Oh my goodness, what a very muddy field. He's considering that, but he's still waiting for his people. I'd have hated to have had to dry him off at the end of his walk.
Yeah, there's something actually. I mean, you really do feel like you're going on a bit of a walk with him, but
Yeah.
it's just in a very strange position because he's got a cheap sports camera on a harness on his back, hasn't he? Just like your assistant's dog Precious has
Yeah.
here. So you're seeing a position. You know, you're not quite seeing a dog's eye view because you're seeing the dog's head.
That's right. That's right.
I was waiting for him to roll in the puddle.
Happily, I don't think, as he's a trained assistance dog, I don't think he's going to do that.
Oh, Judy, we've got two assistance dogs here, and you know perfectly well that they're dogs first and foremost. But the camera is fortunately waterproof if you were thinking
It
about
is.
that. So, without further ado, and while the gremlins are still staying at bay, I'm going to pop on a short video to tell you a little bit more about our Join In From Home program, which you can find on our website. And as I was saying before, the gremlins interfered. There's also a lot to do from home on our festival page now, not just exhibitions to see and live art to take part in, performances to watch, but there's a whole host of family activities, activities for adults. I mean, last night the I Am Tony consists of an entire online gallery, so there's not only films and photos, but there's things that you can do. There's all sorts of interactive ways to go around the process of making the film. You can learn to dance the national Chilean dance of Quacker on Zoom. So there's just lots and lots and lots to engage with. We're not just a festival about sitting and watching. In fact, ironically, by going digital and almost by being on TV, the festival is actually much more interactive with more opportunities for you to join in than ever before. But here is the Join In From Home program that we've been offering since March. And you can see the full video at the beginning of the relevant page on the website, which is really easy to find. It's almost the first thing that you come to on the menu. Together 2012 is running a Join In From Home program from our website, together2012.org.uk. Click on the link at the top of the page, Join In From Home, to go straight to the main page where you have a wide range of accessible, inclusive creative activities, mostly using things that you would already have at home. At the top of the page and throughout the pages, you will also see videos in British Sign Language to translate the site for deaf people. These videos can also be useful if you have difficulties reading and you simply want to hear more of the content. The Join In From Home programme is based on the activities that we would usually be running in East London. All of our activities can be enjoyed by families at home, but we also have some of our favourite activities here from our family activity days, which we usually hold in the school holidays. Card making with pens, stickers and paper is also popular. You can show someone you're thinking of them by making them a special card, and if it can't be delivered safely, then send a photograph with a personal message or keep it till later. Here we have instructions for making a sock puppet, a storage jar or night light, or a lunchbox or storage box, all of which are really popular with our family activity days. And you can click on each of these links to get full instructions. So with the sock puppet, for example, you have lots of instructions with photographs to show you exactly what to do. Same with the storage jar. and same with the lunchbox or storage box. And you can see how effective it is just to use very, very simple techniques. Everyone is completely unique. The Pop-Up Poetry Club meets on a Wednesday morning. We also run regular poetry projects and poetry cafes. We're inviting you to write or sign a poem on the theme of Together and send it to us to share on social media. We're also going to be publishing an anthology of the Together poems in November, and everybody who contributes will get a copy of the physical book. And indeed, that book will be out very, very shortly. It's going to be published and celebrated as part of our end of festival party on the 10th of December, when we're also going to be celebrating the open exhibition. Coming up, we have 2 events during the film festival celebrating exhibitions with Justin Edgar and also the Shadowlight artists, and lots more, which we will tell you far more about on Monday. But now, finally, and fingers crossed without problems with the program freezing, we're going to have our Clockwork Paralympics. So traditionally, I film this race and the surgeoners choose a competitor.
This is our bear today, whose name is
Oscar.
Oscar.
I think you just made that up. Audio describe your bear then.
Sorry. Oh yeah, sorry. So this is Oscar.
Definitely.
Yeah, because he looks very much like a character that I think Oscar Wilde would devise if he was devising teddy bear characters. This is he is the Lady Bracknell of teddy bears, is Oscar. For any of you.
Don't even go there, any of you. So we have a small brown bear in a red top, which has got Norwich Teddy embroidered in yellow, and his name is Ned. I just want you to let you know in the West Midlands that we're having problems with your picture. So I think the gremlins are about again. So very, very quickly, let's pop on the Paralympics and get Josh to do some audio description.
We're going for the left hand.
So yeah, we've decided to go left hand, so right hand side of the screen. That is the competitor closer to the green barrier, who has actually pointed out the green barrier by running face first into it. So thank you for pointing that out. Now, if we could do the race properly, now that our competitor has pointed out which side we've picked.
Yes.
I do believe that
congratulations to
London
Ned.
have won that because our competitor decided to take a bit of a nosedive into the wall. So,
we can't hear you from your end.
Now, fortunately, that is because she started speaking before I took the mute off.
I was just saying how lovely it is to be a winner. Dum-de-dum.
You see, this is the attitude you have to have. Unless you want to win a race of clockwork chickens, you're not going to win gold medals, which is why, as Julie says, this is why we have a house with 1 plastic medal and a lot of teddies, and they have not so many teddies, but lots of medals. But now, fortunately, as the gremlins are upon us, it's time to hand over to Josh for his weekly report into virtual sports, gaming, and all things related. And as always, you will find all of this information in the highlights and links page by about 5 o'clock this evening.
So we'll go with sport first. And the first one is kind of linking into us being Birmingham 2022 in our clockwork competition. The Commonwealth Games Federation, I believe, have just signed a new, they call it a cooperation agreement with the International Paralympic Committee, which I think is a very kind of technical way of saying they're just going to work together. But what it essentially means is it'll integrate a lot more of the kind of branding and campaigns around parasport at the Commonwealth Games But there's also an agreement to kind of work together on the sporting side, but also the non-sporting side, and to kind of support and push the UN Convention on Disability Rights and things like that. So it's kind of a really interesting deal. It's fairly new, and I think it was signed either today or yesterday, um, for the starting of the Commonwealth Games kind of virtual assembly, which I think starts at some point this week. Um, and it's quite interesting. That Birmingham 2022 is going to have 8 para sports in it as part of the Commonwealth Games. So it'll be really interesting and kind of really exciting to see what that partnership brings about. Um, the Commonwealth Games are kind of quite unique in that it has para sport within the kind of main competition, um, which works for the Commonwealth Games. I don't think it would work in any other setting, but it'll be quite interesting to kind of see how that develops and how it helps kind of boost the image of para sport. I know in 2018, it really helped with the kind of visibility, especially as the para sport wasn't planned as a separate program. I know certainly for the swimming, it was, you know, the 4 able-bodied swimming races that are in that program, then the para race, then some more able-bodied race, and it wasn't like, oh, let's get all the able-bodied stuff, and then we'll just chuck all the disabled lads in at the end to have a splash about. They were within that main program, so it got the visibility, of the full stadium.
And I
So,
think what also made me think listening to you, oh dear, my sound's cutting out again, so perhaps I shouldn't go there. But actually, there's lots of Olympic athletes and Commonwealth athletes with disabilities, with health conditions. And I think something that's more inclusive of the para athletes also makes those athletes who might have dyslexia or diabetes or a whole range of other things that don't qualify them as para athletes. And it's always very hidden, isn't it? They almost have to pretend that they don't have a single kind of health condition in order to compete. So I just feel like an inclusive games is going to get the best out of all sorts of athletes.
Yeah, I mean, I know, for example, I mean, I do know of athletes who were only much later their issues became apparent. I mean, I don't really know the exact history of Steve Redgrave and his diabetes, um, but it was kind of very helpful that I think to a lot of people that he then was able to talk about it and then show he was still it didn't affect him. It affects him, but it didn't stop him from competing at a level that he wished to attain.
Well, that's right. And I think sometimes the attitude, even if it's an attitude towards other people, can really impact on you. So, I think an inclusive games is good for every athlete and certainly every audience member.
yeah, and there are other kind of athletes that have kind of not impairments that don't qualify them, or kind of conditions that don't qualify them for the Paralympics, because it's a specific set of criteria. But kind of similar to Steve Redgrave, there's a English swimmer called Siobhan Marie O'Connor, who's a Olympic silver medalist and world medalist, who has Crohn's disease and is a kind of big advocate for Crohn's, and has done loads of work to make it much more visible, and kind of that she doesn't hide it, and it's obviously it comes with its own set of kind of challenges, and she's done a really good job of making people not kind of embarrassed, I guess, to talk about what they're struggling with. So that's similar to kind of what you're saying about Steve Redgrave.
And I think even on a practical level, if by having para athletes it makes you put in more accessible bathrooms, then the non-para athletes who nonetheless still need an accessible bathroom, whether it's to inject or to change a bag, it's just much better for them. Oh yeah, I mean, as always, unsurprisingly, we're an inclusive organisation. We believe inclusion is always best. So what else is happening, Josh?
So the other thing on sport was a documentary called One Shot, which I think was actually from a few years ago, but it's kind of popped back up in the cycle of the internet. Um, and it's kind of 27 minutes. I think it's just shy of half hour. And it's a documentary on photography and photographers at the Olympics. So it was filmed in Rio around the whole kind of setup and the technology and how that's changed. They said they were talking to the kind of the chief photographer or chief photo officer for the Lake Placid Olympics in 1980. And they said, a black and white image, they do it, put it in a bag, send it, it'd be frozen. It was kind of 8 minutes to get a black and white image. And he said now that each photographer does, 3,500 photos a day. And they said at Rio, there's about 100 cameras on the start finish line in the Olympic Stadium. Every single one of them was hard cabled in. And it was something like they processed 1.5 million photos a day. It was just a team of editors that just got every photo taken. And but it's really, I'm about 10 minutes in, but it's really interesting about all the technology and how it's changed and how they plan where they're going to be and what they want. And it's really interesting.
Because you were involved in the Olympic. We've got sound problems again. I was going to say you were involved in the Olympic Park and therefore the media centre, but I think we'll listen to Josh because of our sound.
Is it? If it's
No.
okay.
Oh, I can hear you. Okay.
No, but I can already hear that we're cutting out. So.
Okay. And then on to gaming. This is actually a link that Julie sent me last week, which was a report. It was a Guardian article, I believe, but it was on a recent report from Oxford University on the kind of benefits to mental health that you can get from gaming, kind of the benefits of the well-being improvements that you can get. It's a very small study. It only looked at kind of two. It looked at two computer games, and it was one of the first studies that used actual recorded playing time. So that the games were both ones that had online kind of tracking or online elements. So it actually monitors how long people had played for, rather than just people saying how long they'd played, which is always wrong. It just is. There's one of those things in research that people never get it right. But it was really interesting to kind of see, for some research to actually show the benefits of gaming, because it's always portrayed negatively, I think, a lot of the time, with gaming addiction and gaming makes people violent. And it's, whilst that may be the case for some people, I've been playing computer games for a very long time, and playing lots of what would be considered violent computer games where you kind of run around and shoot people and stuff like that. And it's never once caused any violence. I'm not going to suddenly go out and start stealing cars because I've played Grand Theft Auto. So it'll be interesting to kind of get more research into it and see what that effect, what the potential benefits are across the genre with kind of wider games and games that maybe wouldn't be considered positive, if that makes sense.
And I mean, I'll add to that, particularly not knowing kind of what's going on with your sound. Is that it really does make sense. I mean, I think that the how do I put it? The boring people will go with who want to not like video games, who want to see it's this some kind of teenage terrible, like, mind melting thing, but Scrabble's okay. Now, if a game works for you and a game is good for your mental health, then theoretically there should be no difference between whether it is Scrabble, whether it's Sonic the Hedgehog, whether it's Grand Theft Auto, or any other, Minecraft. I mean, I've watched people. Minecraft, if you don't know, Minecraft is this digital world where you go and create more bits of that world and build houses with swimming pools, but there's also things to eat, things to kill, blah 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 blah. And to me, it just looks like somebody going round a screen for like 15 weeks at a time. But if it works for whoever is playing it, I mean, and actually, I think that for some people, that almost that repetitive nature is in itself the very therapeutic element that's needed, almost over and above like the achievements within the game, but the practice of the game.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I've played Minecraft quite a lot. It's something I played with M, and it is, it's quite relaxing because you do just kind of. It's got a very kind of plinky plonky melodic song going on in the background. And it's just like do 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 do, and you run around and cut down trees and build extravagant houses. But yeah, if it's something that you enjoy, and there aren't obviously, there can be negative impacts of it, but I'm playing a game at the moment in Dribs and Drabs, and I've got time. It's the new Assassin's Creed game, and the kind of historical controversies of Vikings aside, I'm running around as a Viking with two giant axes, hitting people with them. But it's half an hour here or an hour there, kind of in between work. It's just something to switch off and play. But I'm not going to go and I can't lift the giant axe anyway. But I'm not going to go and get an axe and start running around.
I would be an axe murderer. But I'm so bored. But no, I think it's. I mean, I'm not going to say much because of the sound, but I think it's really important to remember that games aren't just about careers in the arts, and we've talked about lots and lots of different careers for artists in gaming, or fun, but actually even just getting out of something else. It's like mindfulness, isn't it? The more you're focused on the game, the less you're focused on everything else, and hopefully that's teaching you concentration and mindfulness skills for the rest of life. If you can't turn your back without something going wrong very, very quickly in a game, it's certainly keeps you on your toes. But yes, I think that's all I've got to say, really. I'll go back to you.
And I think that it does work on so many different levels for different people. And as I say, there are the the naysayers around it, and I don't wish to in any way glorify sentences, statements around having guns and things, but computer games don't make killers.
No.
In the same way as that guns don't kill people, people kill people.
Well, I could probably.
I mean, I'm kind of
discussion there, but
yeah, but in the sense of it being, it's not the games themselves. It's the
there's no evidence to show that the vast majority of computer games are anything other than beneficial. And if there were, dear viewer, we wouldn't be promoting them. So we've just got a few minutes left. Josh, do you have any games to recommend, or gaming news, or other things to watch in terms of sport?
I don't. It was two points. Tomorrow is not tomorrow. Friday even. I got my days confused. Friday is actual Black Friday. I know we talked about it last week, but it was the start of Black Friday week. It gets longer and longer every year. So if, you might be able to pick up some good deals, and if you do a Google of best deal on blank on Black Friday, you'll probably have to find lists of all sorts of different things. If you are
the film festival special fast drives will be purchased on Friday.
but then the other thing, and it's something that I've seen on Twitter quite a lot from people that I've followed, that if you are in a position to buy a new console at the moment, don't just throw your old one away. Children's hospitals and things like that are always looking for things like that for the wards. Phone up your local children's hospital and explain you've got a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One that you don't
Or
need
the children's hospice. So in East London, that would be Richard's house.
Would probably very gladly take that donation. And then you don't just kind of throw it away or just leave it in the back of the cupboard for 6 years until you move house and then get rid of it. If you can, then do look for places to donate.
And as you always say, if you're looking to invest for the first time, then buy the one before the new one. That's going to be much, much cheaper and everything you will need to start off with.
Yeah, to us, yes.
Yeah, we'll stick with that because it's very much approaching towards time to say goodbye. So we're just to we have still lots of things to look forward to. We have the poetry cafe, pop-up poetry cafe tomorrow night in the
Yeah, no,
festival.
and I should just say, sorry to interrupt, Robin, just to make it clear, tomorrow night you only need a ticket if you want to use the sign language interpretation or the captions, in which case email us info at together2012.org.uk. Otherwise, it's being streamed to YouTube. That our channel is Together 2012 CIC, but you don't have to worry about that because it will also be streaming right from the top of the festival program page and also embedded on the event page. So all you actually have to do is watch it on the website www.together2012.org.uk and look forward to seeing you either tomorrow night or Friday. So it's goodbye from East London.
And it's goodbye from West Midlands.
So it's goodbye from us.
Bye.